So I'm going to start another video, and that is improvement of simple saturation cycle. How the vapor compression cycle can be improved to generate more COP, higher COP. How to generate higher COP? So for that we improve the simple vapor saturation cycle. Okay. Now the first point, by introducing a flash chamber between expansion valve and the evaporator, between expansion valve and the evaporator. By introducing a flash chamber between the expansion valve and the evaporator. First one. Second one, by introducing an accumulator or pre-cooler. Second point. Third, by subcooling the liquid refrigerant by the vapor refrigerant. And the fourth, by subcooling the liquid refrigerant, leaving the condenser by liquid refrigerant from the expansion valve. These are the four methods. These are the four methods for the improvement of the simple saturation cycle. Now, in the first part, by introducing the flash chamber between the expansion valve and the evaporator, the sketch is given over here. This is your compressor. From compressor, the compressed refrigerant is coming to the condenser, and from condenser, the condensed refrigerant in the liquid form, it is going to the expansion valve, and here the pressure is being reduced, then it enters into the flash chamber. When it enters into the flash chamber, part of the refrigerant is changed over into gaseous phase, and part of the refrigerant remains in the liquid form. Now this liquid form of refrigerant is again sent to the evaporator. In the evaporator, that refrigerant which had been in the liquid form get converted into vapor form. It absorbs the heat also. Then this refrigerant pass on to the compressor, and the gaseous form of the refrigerant from the flash chamber, that also mixes with the refrigerant which is coming from the evaporator, and both of those goes to the compressor. In that way the cycle is complete, and one flash chamber is being utilized. It is a sort of vessel in which liquid and gas part are separated. Now M1 is the mass of the liquid refrigerant supplied to the evaporator. M2 is the mass of the refrigerant that is in the form of liquid and vapor circulated through the condenser. Then mass of the vapor refrigerant flowing directly from the flash chamber to section of the compressor. Therefore, thermal equilibrium of the flash chamber. In the flash chamber, what are the entrance point and what are the outlet points? Both are being balanced over here. That is M2H4, M2 into H4, that is entering, is equal to M1 into HF4 dash, M1 into HF4 dash. HF4 dash, that the liquid refrigerant which is coming out and having M1 mass, plus M2 minus M1 into H1, that the gaseous form of the refrigerant which is going to the compressor. So M2 into H4 is equal to M1 into HF4 dash plus M2 minus M1 into H1, or M1 will be equal to, in the form of M2, H1 minus HF4, HF3 dash because H4 is your HF3, H4 is your HF3, H1 minus HF3 divided by H1 minus HF4 dash. So M1 will be equal to M2 into H1 minus HF3 divided by H1 minus HF4 dash. Then refrigerating effect equal to M1 into H1 minus HF4 dash, M1 into H1 minus HF4 dash. M1 की वैल्यू हम उठा के यहाँ से रखेंगे पहले, M1 ऑलरेडी हम निकाल चुके हैं, M2 इंटू H1 माइनस HF3 डैश, HF3 डिवाइडेड बाई H1 माइनस HF4 डैश. तो रेफ्रिजरेटिंग इफेक्ट इज इक्वल टू M1 H1 माइनस HF4 डैश, दैट इज इक्वल टू M2 H1 माइनस HF3 डैश, दैट इज इक्वल टू M2 H1 माइनस HF3 डैश. ओके, दैट इज द रेफ्रिजरेटिंग इफेक्ट. Refrigerating effect. Okay, so and work done in the compressor, M2 into H2 minus H1, M2 into H2 minus H1, work done in compressor. Okay, M2 into H2 minus H1. Therefore COP will be refrigerating effect upon work done, and that is H1 minus HF3 divided by H2 minus H1, refrigerating effect upon work done. Now for power, M2 into H2 minus H1 divided by 16 kilowatt. But whatsoever is the compressor work, that will be divided by 60. Now the next process for the further improvement of the COP, cycle with accumulator or pre-cooler. Cycle with accumulator or pre-cooler. We have got one accumulator over here, then compressor is there, and when the refrigerant is being compressed, it goes out to condenser, it is being liquefied over here, liquefied in the condenser, then it goes to the expansion valve, and from expansion valve it goes to the accumulator. In accumulator, the liquid refrigerant which is settled in the bottom, it goes to the evaporator through the liquid pump, to the evaporator through the liquid pump. There it is being evaporated, and that evaporated liquid gas is passed through the accumulator. Now here already gas was coming, partial gas was coming from the expansion valve, and now the gas is coming from the evaporator. Both are mixed with each another, and then they are sent to the compressor. So the process is complete in that way. The only thing difference from the flash chamber one is that the refrigerant from evaporator is being sent to the accumulator. Here we have got the pH diagram, pressure enthalpy diagram also. 1 1 dash, 1 1 dash, 1 1 dash. That is your the refrigerant which is going to the compressor and coming out of the evaporator. Then from 1 to 2 compressor work, from 1 to 2 compressor work, and 2 to 3 your condenser work, 3 to 4 expansion work, and 4 1 that is your evaporator work, evaporation work. So in that way the cycle is completed. Now we have got over here accumulator. In accumulator, the refrigerant which is coming from the expansion valve is collected over here, and the refrigerant which is coming from the evaporator also, it is being collected over here, and in the bottom we have got the liquid form of the refrigerant which is collected in the accumulator, and it is sent to the evaporator through the liquid pump, and then there is compressor. In compressor, that gas, refrigerant, they are evolved and they are passed to the compressor. And from compressor, the gas that goes to the condenser. And from condenser, that goes to the evaporator, expansion valve. Here the pressure is being reduced and that liquid refrigerant goes to the accumulator. It is being accumulated over here, and the gas refrigerant in the vapor form, which is on the top side of the accumulator and also coming from the evaporator, are mixed over here. Then they are passed to the compressor. So in that way, the refrigerant are mixing at point 1 going to the compressor, and it is coming out at the point 2, it is going to the condenser and then evaporator. Now energy balance we would like to do. M1 mass of the liquid refrigerant circulated through the evaporator, M1 mass over here. M2 mass of the refrigerant flowing in the condenser, M2 mass condenser. Heat balance in accumulator. Let us see. M2 into H4 plus M1 into H1 dash, which are coming inside the accumulator. 2 points are there at which gas, one side liquid is entering, one side gas is entering. So M2 into H4 plus M1 into H1 dash, gas which is coming over here, they are equal to M2 into H1 plus M1 into H4 dash. So heat balance for the accumulator. Now we will make M1 one side, M2 on the other side. M1 H1 dash minus HF4 dash equal to M2 H1 minus H4. Therefore M1 is equal to M2 H1 minus HF3 divided by H1 minus HF4 dash. That can be written as M2, because H4 is equal to HF3 also. H4 is equal to HF3, that is the liquid enthalpy. At the point 4, the total enthalpy is HF3, liquid enthalpy at that point. So we can write M2 into H1 minus HF3 divided by H1 minus HF4 dash, because H4 is equal to HF3. Therefore, refrigerating effect is equal to M1 H1 dash minus HF4 dash is equal to M2 H1 minus HF3. Therefore, W mechanical work is equal to M2 H2 minus H1, and COP refrigerating effect upon the work done H1 minus HF3, that is H1 minus HF3, H4 के जगह पे HF3 आ गया, divided by H2 minus H1 compressor work, and power is equal to M2 into H2 minus H1 divided by 60 in kilowatt. Okay, that is in kilowatt. So 2 parts have been introduced to you. That first one was using the flash chamber, how to increase the COP. In fact, only gas should be allowed to come into the compressor. Only gas should be allowed. But when we directly, normal vapor compression cycle, we are directly connecting the evaporator to compressor. So what happens? Some of the liquid refrigerants which are not converted into the gas, they also pass on to the compressor, and which is dangerous for that. Because why it is dangerous? Because it is just possible if the liquid refrigerant enter into the compressor, then it will damage the wall of the compressor, piston ring also, everything is being damaged. That's why using the flash chamber or using the accumulator helps to pass the gaseous refrigerant to compressor. Only gaseous refrigerant to the compressor. In that way only gas is being passed to the compressor. No liquid can enter into the compressor. Thus compressor will remain safe. That is the reason why we use flash chamber and accumulator. Now I shall concentrate on the third part by subcooling the liquid refrigerant by a vapor refrigerant. That is, we are using heat exchanger. We are using heat exchanger. Cycle with subcooling of liquid refrigerant by vapor refrigerant. We are using heat exchanger. So what is there? We have got this compressor again. Then let us start from the evaporator. From evaporator, the vapor refrigerant comes out and it is allowed to pass through a heat exchanger. Then it is allowed to go to the compressor, and after compression the refrigerant is passed through the condenser, where it is being converted into the liquid form, and that liquid is then allowed to pass through the heat exchanger. So there is exchange of heat between the gas and the liquid, gas refrigerant and liquid refrigerant, and both of them exchanging the heat with each another. Thus steady state is obtained after some times. Then this liquid refrigerant enters into the expansion valve, pressure is reduced and then allowed to move into the evaporator, where it converts into the vapor form. Now this vapor form refrigerant, which is cooled enough, is allowed to go through the heat exchanger, and another, that is the refrigerant which is coming from the condenser, it is hot enough and it is allowed to pass through the heat exchanger. So there is exchange of heat between the vapor from the evaporator and liquid from the condenser. After some times a steady state is reached. And heat is being transferred from the liquid to the gas side, because liquid is at higher temperature than the gas. Now let us discuss the pH chart. pH chart from evaporator. The gas is passing through from evaporator 4 to 1, but in actual it is going up to 1 dash. And here the superheating of the refrigerant takes place, because heat is being transferred from the liquid side to the vapor side. So superheating of the refrigerant takes place, and that compressor work is being done from 1 dash to 2 dash. 1 dash to 2 dash compressor work is being done. Then from 2 dash to 2, that is desuperheating take place. Desuperheating of the refrigerant take place, and from 2 it enters into the condenser, and from condenser that refrigerant goes to the heat exchanger again. So when it goes to the heat exchanger, the subcooling of the refrigerant take place. That refrigerant is being subcooled. So one way the vapor refrigerant is being superheated, and another way the liquid refrigerant is being subcooled. So there is exchange of heat between the two, and when the steady state temperature is reached, then the amount of heat transferred from the hot and liquid refrigerant at 3 to 1 dash, that is the amount of heat is uniform. Whatsoever heat is being released from here, it is being absorbed at 1 point. Okay, it is being absorbed at 1 point. So in that case, we are using a heat exchanger. Okay, now thermal equilibrium in heat exchanger. Let us see the thermal equilibrium in heat exchanger. M1 is the mass of the vapor refrigerant, M2 is the mass of the liquid refrigerant. So in heat exchanger, if thermal equilibrium is reached, then what will happen? M2 into CPL, liquid refrigerant, into T3 minus T3 dash equal to M1 into CPV, T1 dash minus T1. CPV, that is vapor form, CPL, that is liquid form. So we equate both of them. Equating both of them, we get HF3 minus HF3 dash is equal to H1 dash minus H1. This is what I told. When steady state is reached, then the heat is being transferred from M2 mass to M1 mass, that becomes steady, and in that case HF3 minus HF3 dash, that is the subcooling, equal to H1 dash minus H1, that is the superheating. Both are equal. Now since T1 dash is equal to T3 dash is equal to Tm, suppose, then the outlet temperature here and here are almost same. Then what happened? Subcooling of the refrigerant increases the refrigerating effect from H1F3 to H1F3 dash, from H1F3 to H1F3 dash. Then mass of the refrigerant can be calculated, MR, that is the total tonnage, 210 Q. Q is the cooling capacity which is given, divided by the actual cooling, H1 minus HF3 in kg per minute. So we get the mass of the refrigerant. Now power drive the compressor P1, that is compressor work, H2 dash minus H1 dash into mass hour divided by 16, that gives you power. And when we have been not using any heat exchanger, simple case, power will be MR into H2 minus H1 divided by 60 kilowatt. That is when we are not using any heat exchanger. Here we are using the heat exchanger. So there is difference in power. Compressor requires more power when refrigerant passes through the heat exchanger than simple expansion, simple process without heat exchanger. So excess of power will be P1 minus P2, P1 minus P2, excess power. Firstly it was through the heat exchanger and afterward it was without heat exchanger. So excess power P1 minus P2, that is equal to 210 Q upon 60, and difference will be H2 dash minus H1 dash divided by H1 minus HF3 dash minus H2 minus H1 divided by H1 minus HF3 kilowatt. So this is the difference. This was the first with heat exchanger, this was without heat exchanger. So there is difference in power. By subcooling the liquid refrigerant by vapor refrigerant, the COP is reduced. COP is reduced. Okay. Now the fourth part, and that is your by subcooling the liquid refrigerant by liquid refrigerant. Subcooling the liquid refrigerant by liquid refrigerant itself. What is there in that? From the compressor, the refrigerant is being compressed, allowed to move from 2, goes to the condenser, discharge the heat to the atmosphere, and here what happened? That refrigerant converts into the liquid form. From here it is moving to a heat exchanger. From heat exchanger it is going to the expansion valve. Expansion is taking place and pressure reduction is taking place. Now sooner it crosses the expansion valve, we allow the refrigerant to go to the heat exchanger. and after passing through the heat exchanger, then it is allowed to go to the compressor. While the liquid refrigerant, gas form of refrigerant is taken to the heat exchanger, while the liquid refrigerant is allowed to go to the evaporator, and from evaporator it converts into the vapor form, then it is allowed to go to the compressor. So in that way it is a bit different from previous one. It is a bit different from the previous one. Here what we are doing, we are allowing the refrigerant of which the pressure has been reduced, and it is allowed to go to the heat exchanger and then to the compressor. In the meantime, the liquid refrigerant, the vapor refrigerant from the evaporator is also allowed to go to the compressor. So there is the mixing of the two refrigerant, one coming from the evaporator side, another coming from the heat exchanger side. So on pH diagram, if we draw 1 to 2 your compressor work, 2 to 3 is your condensation, 3 to 3 dash, that is your supercooling or subcooling in the heat exchanger, 3 dash to 4 dash, that is your expansion valve. Then from 4 dash to 1, that is your evaporation, and from 1 to 2 again compression. So this is the pH diagram. Now HF3 is equal to HF3 dash is equal to HF4 dash, liquid. Here it is complete liquid, here also it is liquid. So, and it is on the constant enthalpy. So HF3 dash is equal to HF4 dash. Now make the heat balance in the heat exchanger. M2 into HF3 minus HF3 dash, HF3 minus HF3 dash is equal to M3 into H1 minus HF4 dash, H1 minus HF4 dash. So in heat exchanger, one part is your M2 and another part is your M3. Both are exchanging heat with each another. So M3 can be written as HF minus HF3 dash divided by H1 minus HF3 dash into M2. ठीक है, into M2. Okay. So M1 is equal to M2 minus M3. M1 जो है आपका जो जा रहा है, M1 कहाँ पर है आपका, M1 ये एवापोरेटर से निकल के जा रहा है, दैट इज इक्वल टू M2 minus M3. रेफ्रिजरेटिंग इफेक्ट क्या होगा, M1 रेफ्रिजरेटिंग इफेक्ट M1 इंटू H1 minus HF4 dash, H1 minus HF4 dash, that is equal to M1 is equal to M2 minus M3, H1 minus HF4 dash, that is equal to M2 into H1 minus HF3, HF4 dash is equal to HF3, therefore M2 into H1 minus HF3 is equal to M1 क्या है आपका, M1 is the mass of the refrigerant passing through the evaporator, that is 210 Q divided by H2 minus HF4 dash, and M2 is equal to 210 Q H1 minus HF3 dash. M1 हो गया, M2 हो गया, therefore refrigerating effect is equal to M2 into H1 minus HF3 dash, H1 minus HF3, and COP is equal to refrigerating effect upon the work done, that is H1 minus HF3 divided by H2 minus H1. Then power is given by 210 Q upon 60, that is your value of 210 upon 60, that is the MR, mass of the refrigerant, that multiplied by H2 minus H1 divided by H1 minus HF3, ये किलोवाट में आ गया. ठीक है, इस तरह से मैंने आपको समझाया 4 4 प्रोसेसेस बताया हमने जिसके थ्रू हम COP जो है वो इन्हेंस कर सकते हैं, COP हम बढ़ा सकते हैं। पहला प्रोसेस था हमारा इंट्रोडक्शन ऑफ फ्लैश चैम्बर, दूसरा प्रोसेस था इंट्रोड्यूसिंग एक्यूमुलेटर, तीसरा प्रोसेस था बाय सब कूलिंग ऑफ द लिक्विड रेफ्रिजरेंट बाय द वेपर रेफ्रिजरेंट, और फोर्थ प्रोसेस था सब कूलिंग ऑफ द लिक्विड रेफ्रिजरेंट लीविंग द कंडेंसर बाय लिक्विड रेफ्रिजरेंट फ्रॉम द एक्सपेंशन valve. These are the 4 processes which are helpful in enhancing the COP of the simple vapor compression cycle. That's all. Thank you.